Hi everybody, I've got another journal here today. You know, I think I say that at the beginning of every video. I'm gonna have to think of something else. This is, let's measure it first. This is 7 by 4 3/4. And it's got one of the little patches that I like to make, and then I stamped on a piece of muslin here and sewed around it. Put a little piece of lace, and this is one of these vintage looking brooches that I make. Got some Swarovski crystals and some Swarovski pearls. A piece of filigree here. And that's the spine. And again, it's that delightful textured. Well, you don't want that piece of lace, do you? See, I save everything. Even something that small, I'll find a spot for it. That's sad. Some double stitching here around the edge of the book, all the way around. And that textured lace and a string that you don't need. And it's sewn in silver. All this is silver, and it's silver on the muslin. And on the inside, I've got a pocket here made out of a table napkin, dinner napkin. And this has had a little bit of silver in it, which is why I chose the silver thread for this book. And some coffee dyed papers, a little bit of that corrugated butterfly with corrugated paper. And coffee dyed that sari silk there. Over here is a pretty swan with some lace running down the page here. Really soft lace. I'm done in the silver stitching. This has got some ballerinas in it. And we've got some fabrics here. A lace pocket that I inked in the blue. A pretty floral back here with the silver stitching. And then some coffee dyed papers. That could be a bookmark. Some ephemera. Another piece of coffee dyed paper here with the silver stitching with the blue background. And this is from the other side. It's gauze. And I just let it hang over. Real pretty image of a ballerina with the gauze. Part of a postcard here and some ephemera. More of that gauze. Again, I let it hang over. Some of that pretty lace. And over here is a tuck spot. Some roses in the background. And it's one of these pages that has the vintage calling card. And violets. Another vintage calling card here with a rose. Lined paper. And here's a lace pocket. And I just added some different fabrics here. And inside, well, behind it, sewed it in the silver. It really adds a nice sparkle in the book. It's slight, it's delicate. I like it. And some vintage cards here. Or should I say coffee stain journaling cards. Over here's a real pretty image with definition of the word thought. And again, the silver stitching. Some gauze here. More of the silver. Really adds something, I think. I think this is the first time I used the silver thread. Piece of ephemera here. Part of a postcard, and I stuck a real stamp on it. I got those stamps at an estate sale. They're probably worth a fortune, and I'm just throwing them in journals. Shame on me. Some lace back here. That's a nice place to do a little journaling. I inked it in a little bit of blue. Over here is another tuck spot with a little ballerina behind it on some music paper. Coffee dyed papers. More ephemera. A little banknote here. And this is a vintage frame, and I put one of the ballerinas. I cut it out and put a ballerina inside, and it's got the silver stitching behind it, and it's a pocket in here with the snippets, and that's blue sari silk with some lace. And some more of the gauze that I let hang out over the edge. This is pretty. A pretty image placed to journal with the stitching in the blue in the background, and I inked it heavy with the blue. Pretty lace sticking over the edges. This is the center of the book. Two real pretty vintage frames. More of that silver stitching. Sometimes I'll just keep going around with the sewing machine because it builds it up and it makes it a little thick. I like that. I like to be able to feel it. Texture in a book is something I really enjoy when I'm writing. Pretty vintage image there. Some ballerinas here with some fabrics, some blue fabrics, and part of a crochet doily on a blue, looks like damask possibly. Dream of Joy, part of a music paper. Little corrugated heart. And a little card with the cute little glasses. And sometimes you just go through your stash and you find these stamps you haven't seen in a long time, and then you go crazy with them. Like, oh yeah, I remember that one. So that's what happened with the little glasses stamp. I think I put one in every journal. Some gauze here with it hanging over. The other part of that banknote. Some ephemera there. Again, the stitching with a frame. This is a flip up. It's a ballerina with a big part of a doily here on a piece of lace. I'll flip that up. And that holds it in place. Another part of the postcard. Other part of the ephemera. And here's some blue here with some fabrics up here. I like blue and yellow together. I think that's pretty too. And then I just stitched around it in gold. It says spontaneous, the definition of spontaneous, which probably should be my middle name. Over here, some more of the gauze. Gauze over here with the pretty ballerina picture. Nice place to journal here. Some lace with some different fabrics and a blue ruffle. I didn't ink or use the crackle on these pages. I just left them in the coffee dyed because they were so pretty the way they came out. Piece of ephemera. Another part of the postcard. Here's a pocket with a ballerina on it. And I inked it in blue. Put some sari silk here and a little rose. And then I used roses with a blue background here with the silver. And some sari silk on that card. And sewed a little button onto the fabric before I adhered it. That's a vintage button. It's got a little nick in it. Huh. And then some, this is washi tape. And over here is another ballerina, and she's pretty on a piece of music paper. A place for a tuck spot. And the silver. With some cards in it. My lovely sewing. Isn't that gorgeous? You know, I like it. A machine has a mind of its own. One of these days I'll break down and get me in a good one. A piece of ephemera here. The definition of meditate. You know, just because it says that does not mean you have to write about that. It's just there for pretty. And over here on the next page, we've got another pretty ballerina and some gauze here. And then this pocket matches the front pocket. It's that beautiful silver lace ribbon. And the background, I used a really nice vintage lace. Can you see that? It's kind of awesome sauce. It's one of my favorites. With some journaling cards here. And this one's on a book page. It's got a little tab at the top. And that sari silk, green sari silk. And then a little booklet. And I just let that hang over the edge. And it's got some book pages. And that's for my Henry VIII book. I love the Tudor dynasty, I guess is what you call it. And just some cards and stuff to write on. Papers, different papers. And there's the back with that wonderful fabric. And the front. Cooper, get off the table. You know, it's just not a video without me having to tell him to get off the table. Get off the table, please. Jump. Jump. Ah, you did it. Thank you. Thanking the dog. I must need some coffee. Here's a patch that I made, and of course the jewelry piece. I want to thank y'all for being here with me today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody.